Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner for my Quick Tip Thursday. And this is episode number 64. In today's video, I want to show you how you can use grid paper to sew in your signatures and make it easy. Now, this is some grid paper that I bought from Amazon. It comes, I think, 2 big packs, and I do have it linked in the description box, but it will last you forever. So what I do is I start by taking a piece of the grid paper, and whatever you're going to use as your spine, and this is not going to be an actual spine in a journal. This is only for demonstration purposes. But what I've done is I have cut a piece of like chipboard that is 8.5 inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to say that is my spine. And what I do to make it really easy is I cut the paper to the same dimensions as the spine. So let's go ahead and do that. So it needs to be 8.5 inches in length. And what I like to do too is, do you see how this top square is too short? I cut that off so that all my squares are even. So let's just get rid of that first. Actually, what I can do is just put it in here. Like I said, I love this little trimmer because it's got a wire to help you see where you're going to cut. The only thing is the blades dull frequently, and I have to change the blades out. So we need this to be 8.5 inches in length. And then 2 inches in width. And it's just a little bit shy of where the square will be, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. Did I do that right? How did I do that? I guess I didn't do that right. I thought this was 2 inches in width. It is. Did I not? Am I not 2 inches here? No, I wasn't. I measured that wrong. There we go. And now it's directly on the line. So now we have a nice piece of grid paper here to glue onto our spine. And this is pretty thick cereal box. And I will use this to sew my signatures onto, but then this also gets glued onto a real spine. This is only just to sew the signatures. So I know this is flimsy, but I use something stronger for my signatures, for my spine, excuse me. Let me pull in a piece of paper here, glue paper, and all I do is just glue this onto my spine. And once again, this is only to sew on the signatures. This is not the completed spine. So we're just going to lay that down there. And do you see how now you've got this beautiful piece of paper here, grid paper, to help you mark your signatures of where you're going to poke your holes. Very, very easy. Now I have here my cradle for poking holes, and let's just see where these are at in the line. Looks like that is over just a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if these will line up. Somewhat, but not exactly. So I will not use this cradle, or maybe I will. I will use this cradle. So what I'm going to do is line up my chipboard, and you can always like put a little thing at the top so you can know exactly where the top is going to be. I butt it up against there, and so I know there's going to be a hole there. There's going to be a hole there. There's going to be a hole there. And this is for a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. There and there. So it's not exactly where the squares are, but I do like using this for my poking my holes into my signatures. Okay, let's set that off to the side. And then all we have to do is line up a ruler and go across, and then we'll know exactly where to poke our holes. And so then when we go to poke the holes in our papers, we'll be able to use that cradle. Okay, so those are right where we need to poke our holes. So say for instance, we want 4 signatures. So we can come in and we can poke a hole there. We can skip 2 or 3. Let's just go in and we're going to say we're going to go there. Let's do 5 signatures. So we're going to go there, skip, go 2, skip, 2, skip, 2, skip. Okay, so there are 5 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means we can have 5 signatures. And so you just come down and you put your holes right where your markings are. Do you see how easy this is? Using this grid paper, it just helps you so much. Come down one more. And they should all line up perfectly. Okay, so that's where your holes will go. The next thing you could do is take whatever fabric you are going to have on your spine. So say for instance, I would glue this here. Now I'm not going to do it now because like I said, this is not going to be an actual spine in a journal. This is only for demonstration purposes. So I would glue my fabric here. And what you would do is bring it around the top and the bottom so it makes a nice, neat edge on the top and bottom, and then this would come over onto the pages. But I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna glue that there. The next thing you're going to do is poke your holes into your spine, and then like I said, I would have fabric on the back of this. So then you'd poke your holes there. And I suppose I'm going to save this because there might be a time when I will do a journal that is 8.5 inches in height. And what I'm going to actually do is write that here. So 8.5 by 2 inches. And then that way this will be all set and ready to go. You never know when I will be doing a journal and I will need it just this height. So then you're poking your holes. And like I said, this grid paper is not expensive. It will last you forever. You just glue it right onto your spine. And you can use it for other things. I suppose you could coffee dye it and put it in your journals. Okay, so there that is. So all of my holes are poked. And then for instance, if my fabric was glued on here, then the holes would be poked through here. And so this is where you would sew in your signatures so that your fabric shows. What I'm going to do is show you the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. And I'm going to put that there. I'm going to lay it, have it right there. Take a screenshot of that. I was recently, you guys know, at a retreat, and there was a fairly new journal maker there, and she had sewn some signatures into a journal, but she had only used the 3-hole pamphlet stitch and they were wobbly. And she's going, oh shoot, my signatures are really wobbly here. And so my advice to her was, I said, do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I have, oh gosh, since making journals, I maybe did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch at the beginning, but once I learned the 5-hole, which is only 2 more holes than what a 3-hole is, it's going to give your journal much more stability. Okay, let's pretend that the fabric is on here and this is where you would sew your signatures. So for instance, let's pretend that this is one of our signatures and you would have your papers here and you would have your holes poked there. And so then you would go through there and they would be sewn onto this spine. But like I said, this is only a demonstration. So what I'm going to do is just show you the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. It's really easy. Now, if you want your threads to show, you would start on this side. So say for instance, our fabric is here, you would start here, and so your tail of your thread would be on this side. If you want your, if you want, if you don't want tails to show, you would start on this side. And sometimes I like doing that because I like my inside where all my papers are to be smooth. So what you're going to do is I'm going to lay this like this. You're going to come up through your first hole. And I'm only, like I said, this is a demonstration. So I'm starting in the center, even though you would start in reality sewing your signatures on the edge. And I'm going to come in closer so you can see. Okay. So you're going to come up. It's very simple. You're going to come up. Okay. And then you're going to go down the next one. And remember, you've got your papers here. And then you're going to go up. It's just kind of like a figure 8. Okay. Then you're going to go back down into this hole, and you're going to make sure you don't catch that other string. Okay. So do you see? Now you've connected those, and you're going to pull it kind of taut. Then you're going to come up to the next one, way over here. You're going to go up and then down. And then up through this one here. It's like I said, just basically a figure 8. And then like that. And then down through there. And like I said, I do not usually cut my thread in advance because it can waste it. So that would be how all of your signatures are sewed in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. Then I would come here and I would tie this in a double knot and trim it off. So that's how you use grid paper to sew in signatures. I hope this demonstration of the 5-hole pamphlet stitch was easy and helpful to you guys. Let me pull all of this out, and maybe I'll do it one more time just to show you guys. Let's see if I can pull this out. Yeah, that way I don't waste this. And what I'll do is I'll show you the opposite way. If you want your strings to be on the inside of the book, and then that way you could do some dangles. Okay, let's do it again. So we're going to thread our waxed thread. And now, again, you're going to lay your papers in here. You'll have put your holes in there, and you've got them there, and you've got your fabric, okay? So now we want our thread to be on the outside. So you're going to come in this way. So you're going to bring it in. And I'm just going to pull my tail. Okay. Then you're going to come up through the next hole. And then down through the next one. Then back up through this one, again, trying not to split your thread, okay? Then you're going to go up to past the middle one. You're going to go up to the next one. Then up to the top one. And again, remember, you've got all your signatures held in place with some pins. And then we're going to come up through the middle. Again, trying not to split that thread, okay? And then what you would do is pull it taut, okay? And then you would tie it off, and then you've got your dangles on the inside. So anyway, I hope this Quick Tip Thursday helped you, and you will go over and buy yourself some grid paper. It's, like I said, this came 2 to a pack. It's tons of sheets. It will last you forever. I will put up in the, when I edit this video, I will put up how much it cost. It's not expensive. It's worth it. It will save you a lot of time. And thank you so much for joining me today for this Quick Tip Thursday. And I will see you guys on Saturday for Slow Stitch Saturday. Thanks and bye-bye.